Imagine that you open up your LinkedIn and there's an in-mail from somebody and it actually makes you want to click the link. This is a lucky experience because I met Troy Hipolito that exact way. I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of in-mails. I get a lot of pitches. Please stop trying to pitch me explainer videos. I don't need explainer videos. The point of this is that occasionally you do find somebody that stands out. Troy Hipolito is that person. He teaches people how to stand out. He's the not so boring LinkedIn guy for a reason. Let's check it out. What's up, crew? Thank you for coming in and joining this really cool episode with Troy Hipolito. It was a fun one because I got to explore a new area of understanding this world of standing out on LinkedIn, the importance of why people engage folks like Troy around branding, messaging, bringing your message to the world. And your presence is so important. But it's way more than that. For a guy who says he's the not so boring LinkedIn guy, he's really got a big story to tell, and he helps a lot of people to make sure that they can get their story heard. So I got to give a huge shout out to Troy, who did reach out on LinkedIn, and it made me actually want to get engaged. We did. The funny part was Troy actually was in the middle of a move, so he was super apologetic. In the end, you could just tell he cares about the outcome, and he has definitely proven that he's able to do it. So check it out. This is Troy Hipolito on the Disco. Oh, right. Sorry. One more thing. If you do that thing, just click on the links and do the thing, click the subscribe and hit the little bell icon. And of course, drop in a comment, say, hey, Troy, you're cool. And also connect with Troy on LinkedIn. He's a wicked cool guy. You definitely should do it. And he was super kind and actually gave me some tips for my own presence there. So go check it out. This is Troy Hipolito on the DiscoPosse podcast.
Hey, this is Troy Hipolito. I'm with the Troy Agency. I'm known as the not so boring LinkedIn guy, and you're watching the DiscoPosse podcast.
I loved your tagline, the not so boring LinkedIn guy. And thank you, Troy, for jumping on today and for reaching out, getting connected. I'm a real fan of your content, your approach, your style. And it's something that even myself, I think, good golly, there's so many things I'm underutilizing around LinkedIn, around a lot of social network. You've really got some great stuff that you're coaching people through and bringing them towards really strong outcomes. So for folks that are brand new to you and do not yet know about Troy Hipolito, you want to give a quick introduction and a bio, and we'll talk about what you and the team are doing.
Oh yeah, I'll even do one better and tell you the story behind it. So I am a designer and developer by trade, right? So I'm a programmer as well as a UI UX person, and I was actually a award-winning designer here in Atlanta, Georgia, several years in a row, like the top designer. And so back in the day, I had a company called ISO Interactive, and we were building video games. It was like the rock star programming. We're doing virtual worlds, we're doing app development, back end, front end, and it was really cool. We had a small team, about a dozen people. We paired up a designer with a programmer, and we created stuff that didn't exist. We loved it, right? So it was going really well until it wasn't.
Oh no.
In Atlanta, Georgia, they no longer depend on the agencies because the companies that you get work are the Fortune 500s. They're very corporate. And so they used agencies up to a certain point and they pretty much cut a lot of that work off. And the agencies start fighting each other. So I was thinking, oh, I got all this great work. I did Coca Cola stuff. I did Xbox Mobile, did Harry Potter movie releases. We even had our own Harry Potter fan site that we developed, a full 3D pseudo 3D virtual world using multi-user technologies. And it was just like, why can't we get any work? Well, the agencies grabbed a lot of these people and brought them in house, and it really cannibalized the whole agency model. And so they were really fighting over pennies. We had to find another source of getting work. And so I asked a buddy of mine, he was actually doing well. and he had a competing agency, and he was putting all his work through LinkedIn. And I was like, LinkedIn? You're getting all your work through LinkedIn? He says, yeah. And then I had a sales buddy of mine in New Jersey, and he said, yeah, it's LinkedIn, man. It's LinkedIn. It's like, well, I thought LinkedIn was a bunch of stuff for resumes. And I said, no, you have to like build a relationship and all this other stuff. And I realized something. Those relationships were like analogous to old fashioned dating. And again, I realized I was a terrible dater, like in real life. So I have type A personality traits because I'm very technical, right? And what I and other people were doing, and what a lot of people do nowadays still, is they date wrong. They go in there. It's like me seeing this beautiful woman and walking up to her, saying, "I find you very beautiful. I'm going to have two babies with you right now." It doesn't work. You end up getting slapped in the face. And that's the technical equivalent of what people are doing on LinkedIn. And so we had to revamp it. It worked really, really well. And we had a bunch of clients, and then we fired those clients and we rebranded our agency. And people asked, Troy, why did you fire all these clients? I said, because they weren't the right type of client. They just wanted to sell. And so my type of clients that I hire on the higher end, the high end type of clients, we look for people that offer value, like they're human. So if you reach out to them, they're there to help that person. They're there to engage, and their audience exists in active form on LinkedIn. And so that's a very narrow band of people that are authentic. They're willing to kind of contribute some time to help those individuals. And I said, yeah, I need to find like-minded people. And that's when we changed from return client to the Troy agency. So we only pick up maybe one or two primary clients a month, and it's residual, works out fine. On the other end, we have course materials, and we have our own show, a monthly show, that covers that type of revenue stream as well. So it works great, as long as you have something that someone wants, and you're there to help them. Don't sell. If you help their solve their problem, there's really only one of three things can happen. So I'll take a 15-minute meeting. They said, Troy, I'm doing this, 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 and this. I'm having this issue. I help them solve the problem on LinkedIn. I said, this is the thing that you need to do to solve that immediate issue. And there's one of three things that are going to come out of that. You put out good energy in the universe, they'll never talk bad about you. Number two, it works so well that they're into their business and they realize there's 23 other things that only Troy can fix, and they hire me, you know. And the third is they're so happy they maybe can't afford what I have going on, but they like me. They like me enough to send a recommendation. And being recommended by someone else is 10 times easier than you tooting your own horn. So it's all about being human, and doing what you say and helping those people get where they need to go. So that's my story. A little long version anyway.
No, it's perfect. And look, a lot of folks that are listening, of course, probably obviously have a LinkedIn profile, or, I say obviously, many folks would have a LinkedIn profile and they use it for a variety of purposes. And look, my DMs are littered with, just people that just don't get it. I sort of say this, the common interaction is, hey, I see we have some, common interests. I'm like, all right, I'll bite, accept, right? But I kind of, because I also use it as a broadcast channel, right? So I'm
Yeah.
ultimately all my content is pushing to LinkedIn. I'm not really using it interactively as much as some people would think.
Uh-huh.
And then the next one is, hey, thanks for connecting. Really great. Like what you're doing with X, or, interested to connect and chat more. And then, 4 hours later is, hey, so what do you do about blah, blah, blah? And like, they immediately are pitching a product to me.
Yeah.
And then the next day it's like bumping to top of inbox, just in case you didn't see this. Then it's not sure if you're getting my messages.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like 7 messages later, you get the, hey, I know you're probably busy, or you've been eaten by a bear, or, something like, there's some kind of witty thing that they read worked once, and
Yeah,
so they just reuse the same meme. And I'm like, no, this is not the way to use this
yeah.
platform.
You know what that's called? Called spam. They're
Yeah,
spamming you. That's what it
exactly.
is. I had to release a client because he wanted to spam people. He says, I only want to help people that need help right now, and send this one message to everyone and keep on sending it to them. I said spam. He goes, why is it spam? I said that's a definition of spam. I was telling him
That's right.
like that is what spam is. You want to communicate, and so that communication element is important. So what you're talking about is 7 or 8 touch points that people think. They're thinking, well, I have to get between 12 and 14 touch points before they connect with me, but they're not connecting the dots. So that doesn't mean keep on sending them messages on your LinkedIn DM, you know, it means how can you connect with them in a more authentic way, you know? It's okay to send 1 or 2 messages, I think, but I don't like the selling portion. I do like the idea of getting to know that person for a particular reason. And so you want to do things in strategy with strategy. So a lot of people will use these systems and they'll just bombard it and automate it and that sort of thing. And LinkedIn, they'll crack down on it. You get enough
Right.
complaints, they'll just shut your account down. And so you have to have good habits. One of the things is like, how can I come across authentic? The other thing is that how can I have them come to me? How do I separate myself from every other LinkedIn guy out there, or in your business as well? Whatever you do, how do you separate yourself where if there is interest, they acknowledge that and they come to you. So you want two-way traffic. And one thing that I do, what I don't do is I don't do sequencing on LinkedIn. I will have a witty connection message and I'll have maybe one follow up, but the follow up is usually a welcome message and it's unique to that individual.
Right.
Like I have a daily process. So when I pick on a client, I help them with their profile top to bottom, help them with their targeting, help them with their initial messaging, and I help them with the day-to-day process. And that day-to-day process is really what's going to keep you sane. Like, oh, I can be on LinkedIn 12 hours a day. You don't want to do that. I mean, that's insane. You want to spend between 15 minutes and 1 hour a day to do whatever the things that you need to do and get out because you have a business to run. And someone says, well, how can I get people to actually book a meeting with me? I said, that's easy. I mean, I can easily get between 30 and 50 meetings a week if I wanted to. I don't know. I think my camera's getting a little blurry. I don't know what's going on here. I think it's the lighting.
Yeah, it's the joy for folks that don't understand. Poor Troy just moved, and we've made him do podcasts in the middle of a move. So it's
Yeah, I just moved in. It's like 80% of my stuff got wires and stuff in there. So it's like the living room of the stuff. So
there you
oh,
go. Now it's that was funny.
quite a tough.
As soon as you move out
Thanks,
of frame,
Logitech.
come back in,
I don't
it
know.
refocused.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you get a process down, I said, well, give me a tip, right? I said, okay, how are you authentic? You're authentic by understanding who you're speaking to and creating some bit of information about them specifically. It's not selling. So when you connect with someone, instead of spamming them, why don't you just use your LinkedIn app and open it up to the video option? And you can send a native video to them that's what, 20 seconds long, maybe 30 at the most, and just thank them for connecting. Like, thanks, Eric. I really appreciate the connection. And I noticed that you have an interesting podcast called Disco Posse Podcast. Kind of tongue tied there. And I said, I'd love to learn more about it. I said, if you have a moment, just take a look at my profile. I said, if you see any dots to connect, feel free to send me your booking link. I said, I'll schedule some time with you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. That does a few things. That's a unique message. You took the time to address them and what they do. You were not selling, and it's the appropriate time for them to look at your profile And if they see anything they want to talk about, the onus is on them to send you the booking link and you'll schedule with them. So it's not me, me, me. It's you, you.
Yeah.
And so that concept and smiling, and of course I didn't smile. I did it quite quickly, but that idea is very powerful. You are communicating with them as a human would, and that's just one of many of the tips and tricks. And I think the other thing we were mentioning was all these touch points. Well, there's all these different things you can do depending on your strategy. Like why you're connecting with people, you know? Are you connecting with them to engage with their network? Are you connecting them to sell them something, which is probably not a good thing? What do you have to offer them? How can you help that individual? You have to get down to the human level. So people think, well, I think I'm gonna do this thing for their company. I'm gonna do it for the team. That person doesn't care. I mean, they may care, but they don't really care. They care about themselves. We're human. So deep down inside, you have to figure out how can I help that individual? What does he want? Does he want to be the hero? Does he have a problem he needs to fix? Does he need to get something off his chest? Can I pass the litmus test? And the litmus test is the old fashioned litmus test where you dip it in there and you figure
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
if it's a certain chemical or whatever, if you passes the test, right? The little acidic thing. The litmus test for LinkedIn is if this guy would go out and have a beer with me or a drink at a high end bar. Because you have to think during COVID times, your time is valuable. I'm not gonna go off some stranger and have a drink with him because he could be a creep, and I'm telling him all my secrets and stuff. So if they feel they could have a drink at a high end bar with you, you've passed the litmus test. You passed the friend test, and that's really where you want to be at. Maybe instead of just sending connection requests, you could take a look at 5 people a week and see. I want to engage with these 5 people because of their profile, of the type of person they are, their network, whatever the case may be, and I want to see what they're posting. So engage with their post before ever sending a connection invite. If you engage with 1 or 2 or 3 of their posts and they respond, the chances of them of accepting the invite goes from their 30% to like 90%. And it goes all the way to 90%. You've not just done that one thing. The second thing that you accomplished is you moved the relationship down the line. And
Right.
so your ask has to be appropriate to the relationship. Anyway, I blab a lot, but I think you get what I'm saying, Eric.
No, it's perfect. And we're here because of your method, right? You took the right approach. I get dozens of in mails a day and people who are like, give me that. Like, I'm like, I get it. You read Jeb Blunt. You want to get to 15 touches fast, right? So you think this is spamming out my inbox is getting you to the 15 touches, but it's like that's not the case. And I often get outreach for people that are like, hey, we'd love to be on your podcast. And like, thanks, booked up. But when you reached out, I did do exactly that, right? I looked at your profile, looked at what you're doing, and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, here's my booking link, right? And here we are. So the proof is in the number of times I've said no to people. The one thing I always joke about too is like, I want to make an explainer video of how not to sell people explainer videos on LinkedIn, because I swear to goodness, about eight a day of people are like, hey, explainer videos are a great way to do whatever. Like the first thing they do is they're like, here's my Calendly link to book your meeting to set up your explainer video pitch session. I'm like, nope, this isn't going to go well for you at all. But welcome to my broadcast network, right? So for me, I'm like, hey, it's another audience member. Good luck, receiving my feed. But the real genuine connections where
Yeah.
I could do, like you said, actually reach out and ask for time and meaningfully give back to them
Hmm.
where they will care enough to take that time and give me that time. It's a beautiful, like, it's a bi-directional relationship of giving time and effort and attention, because this is the real big thing, right? We're in the attention economy. And how do you get access to that attention? It is
Yeah, LinkedIn is so different than anything else. Here you have to come from a place of service. You got people that have like these Instagram models and what they call the thirst traps and all this other. That's a different thing. I
yeah,
mean, LinkedIn is really geared towards uh, um, career change or building, relationship building, working from home, B2B businesses or high value services. So these cheap off one methods that don't work well. Maybe they work well for a widget, right? Well, we're not selling widget here. We're selling conversions to business.
right.
I have a client right now. One job that he gets is worth $200,000. Per job. He's trying to get one a month, right? And not every method will work on his audience, and we may have a method that works perfect for me and awful for him you
Right.
know and it's our job to figure out, well, where does this thing break apart, and then how can we bring it back where it will convert for him, or we have to you know cover those dots and figure out how much is this client willing to do. Like, a lot of these higher end people, high up individuals can't do a lot of things. They do certain things well, and if it's outside their scope, they're not able to do it. How do we cover those things? How do we simplify that process where we can cover those areas and he can still be that person that can communicate? So it it really really depends on the strategy and what you're trying to do on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is known for a lot of that high end B2B conversions. For example, I don't really make a lot of money per client, but I'll gain between one and two new clients a month, right? They'll pay something like $3,000 or $4,000 up front, and then $1,100 per month, right? You think over a course of a year that's pretty good money because you're compounding all the previous clients, and
Right.
they're adding services. So I got that $1,100 a month could be $3,300 a month, and so on. And if you got 20 clients at 2 grand, you're making 40 grand a month, on it, and then adding to it. The trick is to slow down and in order to speed up. So it's not about rushing; it's about just doing those things right. Another thing too is we have our courseware, and I couldn't have done it without partners. So partnerships, networking to build really solid partnerships is a really strength of LinkedIn. If it wasn't for my partners, I wouldn't have my courses. I wouldn't have kept the Troy Show. I have a LinkedIn event called the Troy Show once a month, and I don't want to do it all myself. It's too much work.
Yeah.
So you want to figure out these partners that have ancillary skill sets that will really positively impact your business. And I even tricked my partner. His name is Jean Michel. He's another LinkedIn guy, a really good guy. And I said, you know what? I said, Jean Michel loves to do these profile things, right? I said, let me get him on a meeting. And so this is an example of a way that I tricked him, but it was beneficial for him. He got 3 clients out of it, right? So I know he's gonna be. I'm a giver, right? I'm gonna give him clients. But I said, hey, Jean Michel. I said, hey, Troy, how you doing? I said, pretty good. I'm redoing my profiles. Wondering if you can jump on a meeting with me, help me out. She says, well, you're a LinkedIn expert. Why would you want another expert to look? I said, well, because there's crossover and there's a percentage of stuff you do differently than I do. We have different flavors. I'm more branding and he's more SEO, and he's in a certain type of details and versus what I am. So we had a video, it's 45 minutes, and I was challenging him on certain areas, and it made a good banter back and forth about why certain things. And I even disagreed on him just a few little points, just to make it interesting. And he says, "Wow, that was a pretty good video." And I chopped it up into 7 pieces. That means I had a whole series of videos to show on LinkedIn for posting. And then I took those 7 videos up and I put them together on a LinkedIn article. Then I have an evergreen article that reaches out to it, and he got 3 clients out of it. He said, "Thank you. Why did you give me these clients?" I said, "Well, I mean, you helped out with the profile. He says, not really. I said, well, yeah, you did. It was entertaining. It was good for my audience. I said, but your audience is now hiring me to do these profile things, and he charges several $1,000s, whatever it is, just to do the profile part. And I said, oh, that's fine. Just keep the clients. He goes, well, what do you want? I said, you know what? Do you think this would be a good I said, a good series, maybe for maybe a course or something? He says, yeah, let's make a great course. That was my goal the whole time, right? So he did the whole course. And then I did the series of courses. Now we have hundreds of videos and courseware now. And then we got people that have a large audience. Now I want to reach out to LinkedIn, other LinkedIn influencers and things like that that have a large audience. And I said, let's give them 25%. Let's have them sell the course, and then they can get 25%, and we can split it, between the other partners and stuff like that. He says, well, are you okay for only getting a portion of it? I said, sure. He says, well, my method is if there's not enough pies, they slice the pie up, and you slicing it so thin, you're not making money. I said, well, my idea is just make more pies. You know, I said,
It's such a good way. And you're the one thing that people are often too short-sighted about this stuff is they just immediately think like I can just hammer out this course and then I can sell it and then I get 100% of the revenue and there's literally dozens of ads that people will get a day. If once you click on one, you're now in a loop of people selling this card and that card
oh yeah,
and
you're
all
going
these
down a
different things.
rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they don't do what you did, which is, open up the door and give the opportunity to collaborate, and collaboration is bidirectional. Sure, you saw that like it would have been great to be able to create courseware with these folks, but in the end, you did it in giving back. You gave before you got,
Oh yeah,
which I
he was
think,
already in it before he knew it.
yeah,
And so I don't think that's mischievous, but because regardless, he was going to get clients, and he wanted to do the courses, and he has certain experience, and I may have a certain audience. It just makes sense. And then we have an email person that comes in for to run some of these shows, and so we convert on that, and we bring clients through it, and now we've attracted people that have large audiences, and we'll give them a portion of it as long as their network's right. Everyone makes money. So it's not a me thing. It's how can we help each other in a way that everyone benefits. And that's one thing that a lot of these solopreneurs are missing. They're also like, I can do everything. Well, I'm a programmer. I'm a software engineer, and I'm a UI UX person. And I'm an award winning designer. I can do a lot of stuff well, but I'm a little older now, and I only have like 45, 50 hours a week. I'm not doing anything more than that. And so the designer that designs 50 hours a week and that's all he does, maybe he should do those things. How we should distribute it out where we want, because if we do everything ourselves, there's no growth opportunity,
right.
because you're wearing so many hats and you're not able to go beyond a certain area. And so that's where some of those business processes and actually relationships come in handy.
There's a great quote that I got from a book, and so I'm going to look it up right now just because I don't want to misquote. I want to call the title out because it was one that I really enjoyed, and it was called 12 Months to 1 Million. It's Ryan Daniel Moran. Really, really fantastic book. And like, but one thing that stood out, he says, it's not a business if you walk away from it and it falls apart. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to really build a machine around it because it's easy for, especially we are, as creative people, as a designer, like, you could make $50,000 off a single client for, a 6-week batch of work. But if 3 weeks into that batch of work, you have to leave, then you aren't going to get half the 50,000. You're going to get zero of the 50,000 and you lose your reputation.
Oh yeah.
So what you do is you wrap a team around it so that you can contribute to it and share in that wealth, and also get the benefit that you're creating future opportunities because now you can scale
Hmm.
versus, if you just be Troy Hipolito, solopreneur for the rest of your life, something happens where you got to take care of your family, you got to move, you got to do stuff. And all of a sudden, what do? You just tell your client, sorry, work is stopping for the next 4 weeks because I got stuff to take care of.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, you definitely
horrific.
want to minimize upsetting your ongoing cash flow. I mean, that's what's going to make or break you. All these other things, you can make more money. Like I may make more money in the courseware, but not right now. It was an investment. It's an investment. It's building relationships, and on the tail end, you'll end up making a good chunk of change. So I actually have an article that talks about documenting and creating like your SOPs, your service operating procedures. It's not really a LinkedIn thing, but it's more of a business thing. And so by having these service operating procedures, you're actually teaching certain areas of your business so you can hire out. And the truth is, and everyone says if they're a perfectionist, you are on the worst boat because you you're gonna screw yourself up. Your person who's doing these tasks, you say, "Oh, I can do the job of 7 It's true. I can do the job of 7 people, but I have to hire 1 person for 1 job. And, I'll give you a perfect example. Back in the day, I was the creative director of a company, and it was tied to another company, and they wanted me to engage the engineers and the other web people on how to do a project. They're doing government stuff, and I was doing, civilian, well, other stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they had to create a website for this, this, and this. They wanted me to engage with them, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is a 6 month project. 7 people? It's a 6 month." He says, "No. How long would it take you to do it?" I said, "Took me 3 weeks to do the whole thing." Like, I was just being on. I was naive, like, because I was a designer, programmer, and I knew all the bits of it. And they said, "Okay, you do it then." And that was done in 2 weeks. They never spoke to me again. So I screwed up the relationship because they have, different processes and stuff. And you have to be kind of careful about because, well, you might be able to get that one thing done, but these longer relationships you can ruin if you don't have a way to create the service operating procedures to hire out or in order to do certain tasks. And even if they do a task and they're not 100% as good as you are, do they need to be? You think, do they need to be exactly like me? I mean, what is really good? Like really good is better than most people.
Right.
Look at a program module. Someone says, "Oh, we have to create this one component where it's reusable." And I said, "Well, would you reuse it on another project?" "Well, probably could." I said, "But you're not." And you have to understand that you could the client is paying X amount of dollars and you might want to create this reusable component that eats up the entire budget and it makes no difference. So they have to think intelligently, how can I create these operating procedures so people are taking certain tasks on that they're good or good enough. And when I mean good enough, I mean very good, but maybe not
Right.
exactly to what you're used to doing because we all are a little perfectionists in our own way.
Yeah, one of my funniest examples of this, I was a young, I was like 19, and I was building houses. I was working as a landscaper, and we would build houses, during the fall when it would be lower in the landscape side. And I worked with this roofing crew, and it was like such a funny thing that like this is their full-time gig, and they're like just they were run and gun, contractors. They knew what they're doing. They come in, they got 3 days to do a thing, they're gonna stand it up. And there's working on this house, and it was a friend of mine's house. So like I'm kind of like acting a little different because I know the guy that owns the house. And this guy's hammering in a nail and it goes in crooked. And then you see him, he's like trying to back out the nail, and it was so funny that the guy's name was Lumpy. It was his nickname. He says, "Jesus Christ, Lumpy, we're not building an effing piano. Just hammer it in." And it was so funny. I'm like my instinct would be like, yeah, do it right, spend the extra time. Meanwhile, the other guy is just like, whack, he just hammers it in, it bends it in good enough so that it's flush, and he's like, then put another nail right beside it. And
Yeah.
that difference
Yeah.
of like, look, we just got to get this done.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's weird that we use phrases like good enough or whatever. Like good enough is good enough. It's good. It's
Yeah.
not barely good enough. It's good
Yeah.
enough. Most people don't even
It's
do
not
good
slightly
enough.
better than bad.
Right. So it's like this unfortunate scale that and you hear the phrase too, like if you aren't embarrassed about your minimum viable product, you waited way too long to put it out. Like
Oh,
we
yeah, yeah. I had, my IT company, I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, I need to scale it to this, this, this," and I just had to tell them the truth. I said, "Look, you're gonna spend about $150,000 on this MVP, and once you get funding, you're just gonna rebuild it. So why would we rebuild it? Duh, 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 duh." I said, "Trust me, because your investor is gonna come in, because I already went through investment many times. So I already know, like, the product. They're gonna come in and saying, 'Oh, this is great, but our market that I want to hit is this, or this is a cool feature,' and you can't fit it in afterwards. A lot of times, especially you have to get stuff done in a very small amount of time. So some people create MVPs to take care of the functionality of a certain group of people or a maximum of X amount of people. If you get beyond that, sometimes it's okay to just take that idea and rebuild it, because sometimes
Yeah.
the concepts and ideas are half the work. You know, so you really have to think along what is realistic, what is good. And when I say good enough, everything that we put out is very, very good. But I have certain people that like my writing style. So I look at the person and I figure out their personality and I write according to their voice. And another writer may not get that. So I have to figure out everything about the person so I understand the vibe. And sometimes they don't like telling me certain things and I drag it out of them. It's like, okay, how did you grow up? What do you like? And I said, okay, are you gay or straight? Like I'm blunt about, so I need to understand like where you're coming, where's your audience, what's your typical kind of client. And I blend that in. And I said, okay, I think I got your voice. And I write it down like, wow, this is pretty good. And they make their tweaks to it, because when someone looks at your LinkedIn profile, they're looking at a person. They're looking at the story, you know. And the reason why what do you call these reality TV shows are so popular? It's because it drives a story. It's like I was living in my car and now I make $1 million. I made a
Right.
million dollars. So like they want to know that story. How did you start from here and get over there and be this successful for? Especially in the states, they love a success story. They love the underdog and they want to relate to you. That's one reason I work with a lot of clients that have families. They're family oriented. I understand that they have a bigger care. You know, I work with people that maybe have a similar background because I understand what they're going through. I have people that are try to be sincere. Like at the end of the day, this is kind of where you're going, and I'm bluntly honest with my clients. I tell them, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, this. When you get your first client, I'm charging you more money. I'll tell them, you know, and we'll make this thing work. And I think that personal relationship and engagement is not just makes him feel good, it makes me feel comfortable and happy about helping other individuals.
The sincerity piece is always an interesting thing because I've had people say this, like I can help somebody by writing content with them in a sincere first person voice, right? Like I can represent their personality, and like you're so fantastic at this, right? And then someone would say like, well, is it really sincere if you're getting someone else to write it for you? Like, no, but that's not the point. The point is they don't have time to create this content. They create it, they read it, and they're like, hey, this sounds like I wrote it. Like, bingo.
Yeah, they may not be good writers. They're
Right.
like they're like coaches for this. Coaches by coach, coaches hire coaches. That's kind of what I am. And I'm not doing everything for them. I'm doing the first draft. I'm like, I feel this is what you're talking about. So if you're a good person that does websites, you may be a terrible copywriter. If you're a good 3D guy, you may be a terrible UI guy. If you're
Yeah.
a good coach that helps women, Maybe you're not that good at helping guys. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, you know. So everyone has their strengths, but they have this passion inside to do something, and it's our job to present that passion, in a way that makes sense. Like a LinkedIn profile is really about 70% visual, but once you get past the visual, they start digging into the story, and that story is the bit that will convert them. So the visuals will bring you in, and the story will help convert. And of course, you have your LinkedIn SEO optimization and all those tricks too. But you have to have that balance where they said, you know what, this is someone I want to talk to, and that's where you want to be on LinkedIn.
It's really and it's a mixture of all of those things, right? Like you can have great SEO, but then they get there and they go, okay, yeah, I was easy to find, which ultimately like SEO is about searchability, discoverability. But if there's then, if I have the great SEO for a restaurant, but the food's trash, that's no good,
Yeah,
so you
that's
give
bad.
the
Yeah.
ability. Yeah, it's like you can get people there, and then your role is to teach them how to keep people there and engage them and give that sincerity, tell that
The
story, and then
majority of
through that.
people can't do it. That's kind of funny. People will say, "I just want to sell stuff." Well, you have if you don't want to put your human out there, it's you know, maybe it's not for you to convert in that way. Maybe you're a high-end CEO that uses for PR purposes, and that's fine, you know. But if you are converting, if you're trying to get a career going on stuff, you need to have your all your ducks in a row. If you're trying
Yeah.
to convert B2B or high value services, you have to have all these things in a row because when someone makes a decision, it's usually an emotional decision first, and second, it's based on stats. That's how most humans work, right? And they look at you, and you look like a douchebag on your photo. They're gonna think, and they're not gonna know it, but in the back of their mind, like something's off with this guy here. I don't think I want to work with him. And you don't
Yeah.
know why. It's your douchebag photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be something simple as that. So when making a decision to work with you, they may have two, three, four, five, 10 criteria, right? Whatever it is. And they don't know it's 10 or five criteria. Say five is an easy number. But all they have to figure out is one, that you're not qualified to not work with you. You
Yeah.
know, like how do I separate myself from all these other LinkedIn guys, right? Well, I'm not as serious. I'm more human. That's why I put the not so boring LinkedIn guy. It's just funny enough to separate. It's not really super funny or super off. My other line was actually better, but it didn't apply to LinkedIn. When I had my gaming company, I was known as the number one Swissipino game designer in the world, right? Because my mother's from Switzerland, my dad is Filipino. I'm half Asian. And so my mother has blonde hair, green eyes, and my dad's like really, he's Filipino. And so I'm Swissipino. And that would be such a great pickup line at the bars. They would say, "Really?" Yeah, I think so. I probably number one Swissipino game
The
designer.
irony is this, Troy, that you're the second Swiss-Filipino person I know. A friend, somebody who's Sonia Missio. She's actually based in Toronto, and she also in that interesting split. But it is so funny that you say that, and like you said, the genuineness comes out. And look, the truth is, design is important. User experiences, that engagement's important. If design didn't matter, then there would be sushi milkshakes.
Yeah.
Like we like the fact that it's someone spent way too much time making it look good so you could eat it. Otherwise we would just be having nothing but soylent milkshakes. And like, there's a reason we do stuff. You walk down the street, there's flowers on the thing. Like you see somebody's profile, and it's like half of their girlfriend or boyfriend's face is in the shot. It looks like they're on a fishing boat.
Yeah, you
Like
get
that's
some
great if
get
that's
some
your.
professional photos. That's another thing too. I
Right.
tell my clients, "Oh my goodness, well, I don't know. I don't have time." I said, "Do you have time to make money?" That's what I tell them. I'm blunt with them. Well, this thing is costing me so much. I said, how much is a client worth? That's my closer right there. I said,
Yeah.
how much is a client worth to you? Like, I said, okay, then you're gonna have to do A, B, and C, or pay to do whatever. Because it's like you can you want to be honest and you want to be authentic, but there's also a fine line from kissing someone's feet. The client doesn't want that. Client wants
Right.
to know that, hey, Eric knows what he's doing. Troy knows what he's doing. If he tells me something, it's for a reason. It's not because he's blabbing. It's because he's trying to get me money. And those are the right people. Well, for my market anyway, those are the right people to actually engage with, because they'll actually take the steps, to do a process that works for them.
Yeah, there's a really interesting thing of, and you talked before about the kind of like firing your client, and it's an important piece because as you look at where you can deliver real value, right, and you're selling value, you're selling a specific outcome. And I've had this before, like done advisory with startups, and you start talking with them, and as you give them advice and you give them direction and you give them guidance, and they're just like going the opposite way on each thing, and then they say, I don't understand why this stuff's not working. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because the last three things I've told you that you should do, you've kind of gone in the opposite direction. And then at that point, I'm like,
Well, you're
I
nicer than I am.
yeah, and it's like
I get
I feels like I don't think I'm adding value to this, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
just, step back.
Yeah, I had two clients that I remember firing, and it's a very specific story. One was I have CPA. Anyone that has a high value of service, I could potentially work with, right? If they're trying to convert on LinkedIn. One was a CPA, and he was from, I don't know, the UK somewhere. He moved to the Midwest. This is an older guy, um, and balding, and he was there. He was very dry, right? And he used to take my Zoom meetings like this. It pissed me off, right? Like, he wouldn't even look at the camera, and he's talking, and he has his accent and all this other stuff. He says, Troy, this is not working very well. And I looked at him with a straight face. I said, didn't you just get 14 clients in 45 days? He goes, how did you know that? I was like, I vet everything I do. Like, I'm a lot smarter than I look. I don't tell him that, but I'm a lot smarter than I look. Okay, because I said I talked to your VP 2 days ago before this meeting. He did. He was. He didn't know what to. So he was trying to not pay and get these clients, right? I don't like that. That's being very dishonest.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he just wanted to do what he wanted to do, right? And I said, you know what? I'll let you out. I'll let you out of the contract. Forget about the 30 days. Just maybe it's not working for you. And he said, yeah, maybe it's not working. Oh, it was working for him. But
Yeah,
his pride got him. But I don't want to work with people that are trying to lowball me or lie to me. I had another guy. He was in security, cybersecurity. It's another a big area, and he was doing training, certification stuff. Right? There's all these
yeah.
different, and he wanted to sell the certifications to individual LinkedIn. I didn't think it was a good idea. Right? I don't know. I don't know about cybersecurity, but I was like, yeah, I don't think this is your audience receptive to this? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. I said, I don't think so. Like, it's kind of hard to sell these, four or $5,000 courses and stuff. And I said, you got funding for it? And then I said, you know what? You might want to just partner with other security people and use this, and because you're an ancillary, you're an extra, and they already have the in on this company that's doing this stuff, and they probably need this certifications anyway. And he said, well, I don't have any partners. I said, give me 2 days. So I went to a security event here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I paid my bills to get in. It was like $500 to get in, and I was talking to these people, and I talked to 12 people. They said I would love to talk to this person, and so I said, hey, I said, forget this whole what we're doing. Just forget it. I said, I'll give you meetings. I said, these clients are worth a lot. I said, this one client here, don't miss the meeting. And he was traveling and all this stuff. He agreed to the meeting. He missed the meeting twice, right? Twice.
Frustrating.
Yeah, and the other people who were not, he was I don't know what he was doing. Some people do their business shoot by the hip. He was going, and he was from Texas, and he was going to another country, and I was having meetings with him, and I told him directly, I said, "Hey man, I like you, but I don't want to see what's happening in their background." Because he was at his like mistress's house or something, and that's not cool. I don't want to know that, you know? Like personally, I don't care if you have two women or you're married, you're single, you're gay, you're straight. I think as long as you treat people well, that's important. But what I have a personal issue with is deception, because that means you're not going to run an honest business, you know?
Right.
So I had to let him go. I had to let him go. I like the guy, but if you can't make the meetings and you're in these compromising things and stuff, and you're trying to cover the camera, I said, dude, don't do that. So you
Yeah.
have to work with people that have the same, I wouldn't say moral structure, but are in the
Just
same
integrity,
thing.
right? It's
Integrity, that's the
yeah.
word. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
word, integrity. They have the same kind of ideals that you do, because you know that at the end of the day, if he's going to do stuff right, I know that I'm going to get paid. I'm not gonna fight over payment. I will just can you and stop all your services, and you won't make any money. It's real simple for me. And
Yeah.
you're like, you're not gonna. I don't. You can't manipulate me. I'm here to help you to convert. And so you need those individuals that say, you know what, I will make it to this meeting. I will go in here and help this individual do what they need to do, and now I'm going to make business. You have to have a very clear head on, like, how am I going to get to point A to point B, and then
Right.
know that next month you may have to jump from A to C. You have to figure out the connecting the dots. You have to do some A/B testing on what works, and then you have to figure out, like, this works better, and it's okay, because you didn't know that before. It's a process. So people think that, oh, I get this automation thing on LinkedIn, I'm making $1 million. No, it doesn't work that way. It works against you. LinkedIn will shut you down, and if that's the main channel, it's not going to help you out. So a lot of the lower end, and I'm not lower end in is money so much, but lower end in thought process, and being human and helping, they don't do very well on LinkedIn.
Right.
Where a lot of coaches that have a little bit of a brand, a little bit of flair, something that separates them from other people. You got people that like them, actually like them. They can engage with them, and every personality works well. Had this one guy, like, he had a really dry personality. I told him, "You are dry as toast." I told him, "You're dry as toast." I said, "That's your brand."
Be proud.
Yes, yes. He goes, why? I'm not. I said, yes, you are. I'm telling you are. I'm telling that you. I said, he goes, well, I said, you know why? You could say dry jokes, and it's funny because you're such a straight face. It works for you. And I said, and you're a CPA. So do they want a funny guy to be messing with their money? No, they want a serious dude, And you have to kind of think about it like that. You have to think about, what is my personality, and so I actually I'm somewhat dry. I'm kind of funny. I got dry humor. That's what it is.
Right.
And when I
Yeah.
say not so boring LinkedIn guy, I'm kind of boring. So I twisted it upside down to do that. And I would love to be the number one Swissipino LinkedIn guy in the world, but it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because on LinkedIn, they wouldn't. It's not. You're not. It doesn't, because when you're doing gaming, it's a little more fun, and they're gonna ask, "What is that? What is Swissipino?" But on LinkedIn, they'll be like, "This makes no sense at all." So you have to apply a brand that kind of makes sense to that audience. So
And it goes to your approach to it, right? Which is about adaptability, because even where a method may work for one, company, one brand, one person, that same thing, if you just automate it and try and sell it to 10 other clients without gating, is this appropriate, without evaluating, is this going to fit their persona, their audience? Like, is this, it's both sides of that experience too, right? It's not just about you. Two funny people are not two funny people. They're two funny people that each have individual audiences. So that the one dry CPA guy, like you said, your clients are going to dig this. They want to kind of know that you're the dry CPA guy. Somebody who's hiring a real funny person, if they want them for a keynote speaker for a CPA conference, perfect. But if you want it's like matching and mapping skills to value to perception. It is a real, like, you achieve a really interesting mix by being dynamic, having the integrity, being genuine through the process, and then making sure that those people then parlay that genuineness, that integrity, because of how you work with them.
Yeah, and part of it is clarity. When you're creating your brand, you don't want to say, "Oh, I can do this." Like, I don't really talk about all my development experience other than in the story. I
Right.
started out, I part, but in general, when you look at my profile, it's very clear, that, oh yeah, he's a LinkedIn guy. Oh, he can get me clients. It's a very simple concept. Um, but if you say, oh, by the way, I can do website design. Oh yeah, I did Coca-Cola stuff. They're like, what are you, a LinkedIn guy or a programmer? You end up looking like a flea market, you know? And that's one thing you have to avoid. You want simple clarity. You can add a little humor in it for branding purposes. You want a separation, but what are you known for? I picked up a client last week, and he says, I want to help professional women, right? They're owners of businesses or they're higher up in the thing, and they feel like something's missing. I said, I totally get it. Okay, I can help men too. I said, no, no, no. Men will come in as an ancillary. So what do you mean? I said, you can't say, oh, I help a lot of women, but men can come in too. Well, no. You want to concentrate on that, your main your main nut or your main fruit, low
Right.
hanging fruit. And by doing that and doing it well, your interaction with them, they'll give you another client because
Right.
half your clients will come based on referral. I don't care what kind of system you have going on. We got systems where we have direct message campaigns and stuff, but they're not sequenced. They're teaching the client how to reach to certain audiences. We have posting campaigns and stuff like that. That we have a whole series of things that are done that promotes authentic conversations. And so a lot of the things that we do, we have to slow down, have less but better conversations. By
Yeah.
doing that, yeah, you convert. How many clients do you really freaking need? I mean, think
Right.
about
Yeah. No, and the thing that you hit on there is like that clarity and crispness. Like, it's even when we talk about going to public speaking, I coach people on this all the time. Like,
it.
when you go to give a keynote, your opening slide should not be, "Hi, my name is Eric Wright. I'm a product marketer. I work for a company, and prior to this, I did 20 years working in financial services. I was a systems administrator. Started off as desktop support. Made my way through. Prior to that, I was actually a landscaper. And I like."
Or you could start with that and say, just kidding, and move on to
Right,
the slide.
but it's like people, that's the first thing they do, is like they do that, and then they end the presentation with a thank you slide. You're like, "No, what you should do is said, how many times have you gone into the office and realized that there's no door by the bathroom that's two-way door?"
Storytelling, yes.
Like, you immediately get into this thing, and that's what your profile has to tell a story, but you've got 160 characters to do it in. Like, so you just can't dilly dally around. You got to get to it, and it's got to be meaningful, engaging, and like you said, it's got to match the other stuff. But it's hard as the person, the self, to have the humility to step outside and create that. That's why having you come in and do this with them, it's like such a
Yeah.
boost, because
Yeah, it
they
is a
need that outside
balancing act
voice.
because you have character limitations. You have SEO on Google as well as SEO on LinkedIn. So Google has searched everything on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has their own search as well. And LinkedIn tends to do things a certain way, so
Right.
you have to do things a certain way. For example, um, on your on the individual jobs, right? LinkedIn tends to pair you with people that are similar to you, right? Well, that's
Right.
not what you want to do if you're doing B2B sales or you're a coach, you're doing
That's right. It's just
opposite of
it's
what you
trying to
want to
find
do.
you a job, not a
Oh, great,
client.
I need another coach. You know,
Yeah.
an IT guy, oh, I need another programmer. Like, I know a zillion program, you know what I mean? You're trying to get business, right? So one trick is to actually put your target market in your title. It'll start pairing you up with your target market. And people don't think about that. One thing to do is when I say I'm the not so boring LinkedIn guy, right? That's the first thing I have underneath my name, and it's not SEO optimized, but I don't care. It's more important to have that brand. And then I have the other things that are very, very searchable.
Right.
And then when you're telling a story, this is an easy way to explain it. I want to show the scars, but I don't want to show the wounds, right? You can over inundate, like you could say, yeah, I was homeless. My mom died. My brother died. He had an overdose. My girlfriend was cheating on me and left me. I was living in the shit. No one wants to hear that. That's just horrible. Like that's just too much. I mean, you don't want to like you don't want to say I'm a my life is awful, but I'm trying to make it. People that doesn't work. So showing the scars and then not the wound, that would be showing the wound.
Right.
Showing the scar could be like the dating story I told you. I was an awful dater. It's funny and it's true.
Yeah.
It is. I am so direct. I used to go straight for it, and it worked sometimes, but most of the time it didn't. So taking the approach of old fashioned dating into business just to get to know someone, just to see, I think dots to connect. Are you in the same area? Are you have some commonalities? Is there something that you think he needs that you can help that has maybe nothing to do with your business? Maybe it's someone I can connect him with, or oh, he doesn't need a LinkedIn guy. He needs to fix his freaking email. I got an email guy you
Yeah.
know. And people say, "Oh, well, I got great deliverability." No, you don't. People don't realize a good portion of emails never make it. And I could tell them,
Right.
like, look, LinkedIn is great, but LinkedIn is not everything. Like we pull stuff off of LinkedIn and create a video funnel series through, like Dub or some kind of component that makes it more interactive because some people don't reply on LinkedIn. So
Right.
what are you going to do? You have to figure out what works best to help convert the goals of that client, and a lot of it's technology based. And can you imagine sending a proposal to someone and they don't get it? And the client says, "Well, I never got it." Well, the client's not thinking, "Oh, it's a mysterious email." No, it's a you problem.
Yes, right.
I didn't
They
get it. So you screwed up, and you lost the deal. So people sometimes don't know how important these little components are to fix because it's like a set of dominoes. You remove one or two dominoes, it doesn't complete. And I think a lot of people are so geared about volume. I mean, if you're doing high value services, I'm good with one client a month. One, it's a lot of work for me. Maybe two maximum. A high value client's worth at least $1,000 a month compound, monthly. So you
right.
can compound that. My other client, like I mentioned, one job is $200,000. So when you take the work in, can you deliver the work? And then maybe you can grow your business and your service operating procedures and train, and you can slowly grow out in that way. But I think that everyone, not everyone, but many people are about that volume, and that volume will work against you. Can you imagine reaching out to someone's interested and they reply back and you don't have time
Yeah,
for
if they all come back and say yes, and you're not ready for that. Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be many. It can just be like you said, one or two of them. They say, "Yeah, go for it," and you're like, "Oh, but I can't go for it now."
Yeah, yeah, you're like stabbing yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have to realize what is appropriate. And it's okay to have a small business. It's even okay to have a job. If you're doing career changes, I got a buddy that's a sales guy for servers, or I don't even know what he does, right? I'll be honest with you. It's a drinking buddy. Oh, drinking, we go out, we talk, doing all this stuff. I said, that dude makes $250,000 a year having a job. So it's not all about entrepreneurship. It's about
Right.
his ability to build relationships with clients, you know, and whether you're entrepreneur or having a job, you have to charge what you're worth and you have to deliver what you say.
Put that on a card. There you go. Well, Troy, this has been fantastic. And I tell you that's a great way to wrap because it is important, right? Whether you're selling yourself, into a job, whether you're selling yourself into a service, whether you're selling a team as whatever it is, there's the way you do it to bring that personality, that integrity through. I'm glad genuineness that you bring to this is enlightening, and it was really, really great to share this. So for folks, if they do want to reach out to you, they can find you on LinkedIn, I presume.
Oh
What's the
yeah,
best?
yeah. Type in my first and last name, Troy. Last name's Hipolito, Hipolito. There is another Troy Hipolito out there. That's actually my brother, but he's in the army, so that's a whole different guy. I used to be in the army. Anyway, long story, but I'm the most popular Troy Hipolito out there, right? So
That- He's the not only is the top Swissalino, but he is the top Troy Hippolito.
yeah, in the world, yeah. So
Well, there you go. Troy, thank you very much. This has been really great. And yeah, encourage folks, do reach out and take in your content. It's really great. I love the way you approach things. And yeah, we all need a little bit more Troy in our life. So thanks for taking the time today.